Welcome in Karibuni to Aroma of Zanzibar. Today I bring you something very delicious and very special, and this is mutton biryani. For my mutton biryani, I've got a list of ingredients over here, and I'm going to share them with you as I go along. So I'm going to start with my marination, which is the onion, and a very important part of this recipe. And I've got about 2 pounds of red onions, which are thinly sliced, and we're just going to deep fry this into golden brown. You want to make sure that the onions are not overcooked. I mean, they're not darker than the golden brown because they become bitter, and this will affect the color and the flavor of your biryani. Okay, so as you can see, this is just fine for me right now. And I'm going to put this in a paper towel to drain the oil. And also, I'm going to go ahead and fry the potatoes. You can fry the potatoes before the onions or after the onions, it doesn't matter. And also what I'm looking for is basically just the color. I'm not cooking this through, but if you want, you can cook this through, it's okay. And then after that, I'm going to my herbs. And I've got a bunch of cilantro over there, and fresh ginger and garlic, and some mint, and a cup of yogurt. And I'm just going to blend this. You can use a food processor, and if you don't have one, you can just chop this nicely and then mix them with the yogurt. That would work too. Okay, now I'm ready to add this to my meat. And I'm crushing the onions here. They're nice and crispy. They look dark, but it's just the light. And I have about 2 pounds of mutton with bones. It's always nice to have it with bones if you like it, because that's where the flavors really come through. And you can use beef or you can use lamb. So I'm gonna put about 1 tablespoon of black pepper, some salt, and this is a biryani masala. It's homemade. I have a recipe and I will put a link if you're interested. And then 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Okay, and you just want to mix this through. And if you're using beef, you may need to add raw papaya so that it will tenderize it better, because the beef takes time. It's rough. Okay, and then I added lemon juice, 2 tablespoons, and a green chili. That's just for the aromas and flavors, not for the heat. And then my yogurt mix. You just want to mix this nicely. And I also did add the saffron strands, but I don't know at what point. And then the onions. Now I have used about 90% of the onions, and I left 10% for later use. Okay, and then you're just gonna cover this and keep it overnight if you can. If not, about 6 hours. I kept mine about 6 hours because I started this in the morning. Okay, I also added 2 tablespoons of the oil. It's the same oil that I used for frying the onions. Okay, so cover it nicely. All right, so now after about 6 hours, I'm ready to start cooking my sauce. And this is on medium heat. As soon as it starts boiling, you want to reduce the heat and let it cook, slow cook for about 2 hours, or until the meat is nice and tender and the oil has separated from the rest of the masala. Okay, so now I'm ready for the rice. I've got 3 cups of rice, Basmati rice, and some whole spices there, some cinnamon, and the big elaichi, what you call black cardamom, some cloves, some peppercorns, bay leaves, and cardamoms, green cardamoms. And I'm also using some saffron, which I'm going to soak it in rose water. Okay. All right, and you want to do this at least an hour before. Okay, so I'm going to wash this and rinse it. You want to wash it nicely at least 2 times. Now I have cut down on the rice. My plan was to have 2 pounds of rice and 2 pounds of meat, but we had some change of plans, so I have reduced the rice. So I will have extra meat, okay? I mean the sauce. Okay, so once you have rinsed it, and I'm going to add some salt here, a lot of salt. Okay, this helps the rice grains to separate very well. So if you want to try this technique, please go ahead and do it. Okay, so now my sauce is almost ready, and I'm going to add the potatoes now. Now, if you have cooked your potatoes through, you don't need to put them so early, but this is like about half an hour before the sauce is ready. I'm adding my potatoes, and the potatoes are optional. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. So as you can see, it's so nice, and I wish the light was much better over here, but I'm working on that. And you can see I don't have much oil. So now I'm just putting the sauce in another bowl, serving bowl, because I want to use the same pot to cook the rice. Okay, so we're using the same pot, and do not rinse it because I want those the sauce, the flavors, we don't want to waste those. Okay, so we're going to use them for the rice. And I'm also adding the whole spices that I have, and some salt. And you want to bring this to a boil. Okay, so just before you add the rice, you start cooking the rice, we're going to rinse the rice and get that salt out. Okay, because it's a lot of salt, so you don't want to cook with it. Not for this recipe. Okay, so you want to just remove the salt. Okay, so my water has come to a boil, and I'm adding the rice. And you want to cook this just for about 5 to 7 minutes, just partially cook. You don't want to cook it completely. Okay, and once that comes to a boil, I like to add more rose water, about a tablespoon or so. And so this is how I cook the rice, just partially, not completely. All right, so we're going to strain the liquid. And then we are ready to layer the rice. So I tried to tilt my serving bowl so I could have the oil separately, but it didn't work very well. So I just have to try and get the oil out. I like to use the grease because it has flavors and the color. If you see my video on chicken biryani, I do the same method. Okay, I do not like to use colors in my biryani. It's not that I do not like to use, I'm not used to, I've never used it before, so I don't see the need either. But if you want your biryani to look nice and vibrant, you please go ahead and use the food coloring. Okay, so I've got some oil there, not much. And then I'm going to drizzle this at the bottom of my pan, my pot. You can place the onions over here if you want at the bottom. That also will work. Okay, so we're going to add half of the rice. And then layer it with the meat. Of course, add the oil first. And the saffron. Okay, this will give some nice colors. And for those of you who don't know, biryani, of course, some onions. Biryani is a very special dish, and it's consumed in many countries. And it's something that we always have it on Eid or on any special occasion. Okay, so now I'm just going to layer the sauce. And like I mentioned, potatoes are optional. If you don't want, it's okay. And if you want, you can also do this part in a serving bowl and then put it in the oven. Okay, you don't have to do it in the pot. Serving bowl works perfectly all right as well. Okay, and then I'm going to add the rest of the rice and remove all those chunky whole spices over there. And I forgot to add the cilantro on my first layer. Finish the saffron and the oil. Okay, and yeah, so we're going to add some cilantro too. And then I've got hot ghee over here, and I have a video on how to make your own ghee at home, or you can use hot oil. That's about 3 tablespoons. I'm using a small spoon, so it looks a lot. And then cover it. I don't have aluminum foil right now, so I'm using paper towels, and keep it on the stove for about 30 minutes, okay? So now my biryani is ready, and we're ready to serve. So I still have the color. Okay, I prefer it this color, so if you want to do another color, please go ahead, like I mentioned. And yeah, so we're going to be serving this with some kachumbari and some raita. And I also do have a video on how to make kachumbari. If you want to know how to do that, please go ahead. And then we're just going to put some more meat sauce on the top. And thank you so much. For more recipes, please visit me at Aroma of Zanzibar, and also please find the ingredients on this page and in the description box below.